Do you wear cushioned running shoes from a brand such as Nike, Adidas, New Balance, or Brooks? If you do, your shoes may be doing more harm than good. But before I get into the science of whether your shoes are hurting you, let's take a look at the history of footwear to get a better idea of why we even wear cushioned shoes in the first place. For millions of years, humans have walked and run without shoes. About 30,000 years ago, shoes first started to be worn only to protect the bottom of the feet. It wasn't until about 1970 that modern running shoes with cushioned heels were developed. Fast forward to today, almost every major shoe brand sells footwear with an elevated cushioned heel, narrow toe box, and a stiff sole. So how do you know if your shoes are the cause of your pain? There are a bunch of different ways that your shoes can cause you pain, but I'll start with the more straightforward causes. If you have bunions or hammer toe, your shoes may be the reason why. This is because a shoe that tapers at the toes squeezes the foot. Modern shoes not only cause these deformities, they also weaken your feet. A study from 2021 suggested that strengthening the foot would likely reduce the chance of developing these problems. So how can we strengthen our feet and get out of these shoes that cause pain? Well, that same study concluded that switching from conventional footwear to minimalist shoes increases toe flexion strength by almost 60% in 6 months. Minimalist shoes, or barefoot shoes, mimic a barefoot feel while keeping your feet protected. They have thin, flexible soles that allow you to feel the ground and move your feet freely, a zero-drop sole so your heels and toes are level, and a wide toe box that lets your toes splay apart. Most modern shoes have a narrow toe box, toe spring, a stiff sole, and an elevated, cushioned heel. Shoes were designed this way partly because they are considered more fashionable and partly because they are supposed to make it easier to walk. But what they really do is restrict the use of the intrinsic muscles of the foot. This causes these muscles to atrophy, similar to wearing a cast, but to a lesser degree. A cushioned heel is designed to absorb the shock of hitting your heel on the pavement while running. However, this causes a huge problem. Most people who run in modern running shoes strike the ground with their heels first. This is called a rear foot strike. According to a 2020 review, about 75% of recreational runners use a rear foot strike. Conversely, barefoot runners, or runners wearing minimalist shoes, typically use a forefoot strike. If you run with a rear foot strike, you may be exposing yourself to overuse injuries such as shin splints, plantar fasciopathy, Achilles tendinopathy, and more. This is because when you land with your heels first, your body experiences higher vertical loading rates than forefoot striking. If you look at this figure from a 2017 review, you can see the differences in ground reaction force time histories between a rear foot strike and a forefoot strike pattern. In the rear foot strike pattern, there is a clear impact transient at the beginning of stance. This is when the heel strikes the ground. At the same point in the forefoot strike pattern, the vertical load rate is almost half the rear foot strike vertical load rate. There is also typically no impact transient. When you look at the difference in vertical load rates, it becomes clear why up to 79% of endurance runners are injured annually. So the answer to all your shoe-related pain seems pretty straightforward. Just switch to minimalist shoes. But it's not that simple. If you've been wearing modern shoes your entire life, you'll need to make a gradual switch, especially if you're an athlete. Wearing minimalist shoes places a greater demand on the muscles, tendons, and ligaments of the foot, and a sudden stimulus to these weak tissues could get you injured. It may take 6 months or longer to fully transition from modern shoes to minimalist shoes, but your feet will be stronger as a result. Anecdotally, I switched to minimalist shoes about a year ago and have noticed my foot strength increase, especially within the first 6 months. I also notice I have better balance, and my feet don't get tired as quickly from long days of walking. Before I switched to barefoot shoes, I used orthotics with arch support because it temporarily alleviated my foot pain. I decided to visit a podiatrist who recommended I use insoles with arch support, and he gave me adhesive foam pads to support my arches even more. This only made my feet weaker, as arch support acts as a crutch, and it ended up causing me even more pain. So to answer the question of whether your shoes are hurting you, I'd say they might be. If you don't currently feel any pain from your shoes, then you might see no reason to make the switch. But if you want the benefits that come with minimalist shoes, such as stronger feet, better posture, and enhanced proprioception, then you may want to consider buying a pair. A couple of brands that I like are Zero Shoes and Vivo Barefoot. They both make a variety of shoes that can be used for training, hiking, casual use, or even dressing up. If you're looking to make a more gradual transition, I'd recommend Lems, as they have a little more cushion, which makes the switch a little easier. If you've already made the switch and have a brand that you like, let me know in the comments section. I plan on reviewing all the minimalist shoes I own in future videos, as well as other ways to optimize strength and health. So if you're interested in that sort of content, please consider subscribing. If this video provided you with any value, please hit the like button, as it really does help. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.